All right, back on the Yahoo Fantasy forecast. I'm Scott Pianowski, pinch hitting for Matt Harmon, joined by my wingman, Dalton Del Don. It's all quarterbacks all the time on this episode. It is position week over at Yahoo Fantasy. And Dalton, let's try to figure out where you think the market is wrong. You recently published a great piece, and you are very decisive. Your rankings have always been decorated over at Fantasy Pros. And what I appreciate is a lot of people who do well in those contests, and I have much respect for the industry and the smart people, but a lot of people who do well in these contests are flying really close to the herd. They're kind of consensus driven, and you are out there. You are letting your hair down, and you're almost like a knuckleballer at times, but you're not afraid to take stands on guys. And one of your bold stands is Anthony Richardson. The market likes him at quarterback 5. You say Anthony Richardson is quarterback 1.
Yeah, you obviously don't have to draft him there, and I get it's a small sample, and you can't extrapolate what he did last year over a full season, expect the same results. Big injury risk, or at least ostensibly. I mean, the guy's built like a tank. But yes, there's questions with Hurts and all the aforementioned question marks we said. And Josh Allen splits without Diggs, and just look at where Josh Allen's receivers are getting drafted compared to Richardson's. Pittman, I think Josh Downs is really, really good. Athletic receivers, Steichen. They averaged the 5th most plays per game with Richardson under center last year. But fantasy points per dropback is the best future indicator of success. He just recorded the best one ever. I mean, the best one since Lamar's historic 2019 season. Richardson averaged 29.2 fantasy points per 4 quarters last year. He matched CJ Stroud's weekly top 5 finishes, and he played just 10 quarters. He's raw as a passer still, unquestionably, but he's maintained his strong ability to avoid sacks like he did in college. I mean, he was on pace to rush for 26 touchdowns last year, and on pace to lead all quarterbacks in rush yards, rush touchdowns, designed runs, designed rush rate in the red zone. I just think he has clearly the most upside. So it's just however much you want to deal with the risk. And if you can draft him as a QB 5 or 6, I'm all for that. I think that's the target right there.
2 things I want to respond to that. Just one in passing, Josh Allen. Isn't it kind of crazy that we're not going to talk a lot about Josh Allen today, but I'll say this. It's crazy to me that he's quarterback 1, and we have no idea if there's a great receiver on his roster. I mean, I like Khalil Shakir he's kind of like a Cole Beasley type. You know, he could be like a 65, 806 player, and that's useful in medium and deeper leagues. I think Keon Coleman, a lot of people see as maybe a project, maybe a second year, third year guy, but somebody who wasn't even a football player when he went to college. He was a basketball player at Michigan State. And Curtis Samuel, I know he was wide receiver 25 when he spent that year in Carolina with Brady, and a lot of people are in on Samuel, but none of these guys are going to be what Stephon Diggs was. At least I don't think anybody expects that. So it's just an odd time for Allen. And also, I 2 different things, and you can address them in either order. One reason why I'm not drafting Richardson is I just feel like a lot of the pro Richardson case is duplicated with Jaden Daniels, who, by the way, is your quarterback 9. You're ahead of the quarterback market, which has him quarterback 12, although Daniels playing well this weekend. I just feel like he's going to be a helium player. This is one of the reasons you draft early, because I think Jaden Daniels is going to rise like a couple of rounds until the end of draft season. But for now, because there's a gap between Richardson and Daniels, and I think Daniels, they're not exactly the same player, but they have, in fact, Daniels was a Heisman Trophy winner. Richardson was kind of a hit or miss player at Florida who was more about the tools than the per snap consistency. I feel like all the pro Richardson cases, you capture most of them with Daniels too, and he's more expensive.
I believe Daniels attempted more pass attempts last year than Richardson did his whole college career as well, or something to that effect. But also Daniels took a lot more years in college, and his pressure to sack ratio, highly, highly concerning. I'm just not sure if Daniels' offense in Washington is going to function with that offense. You compare the offensive lines dramatically better for the Colts. And Daniels as a rookie, I could just see that offense struggling somewhere. I mean, I might have the Colts in the playoffs. I mean, Scott Barrett pointed out, Shane Steichen popularized the tush push with Jalen Hurts. I mean, what if he does that behind a top 5 offensive line? I know that Jonathan Taylor is a great back and he could steal some touchdowns, but I just think the setup is just a little bit better and worth a couple rounds more for Richardson, given that that we've seen what he did in the league last year, indoors versus outdoors. Love the Steichen setup, but I'm not going to argue against Daniels. I moved him up to my QB 8, even higher than I had him. He's an excellent target. If you miss out on Richardson, go for Kyler Murray. If you miss out on Murray, go for Jaden Daniels. I would like to